Hello, my name is Tamala Chambers, and I am currently the Children's Department Manager at the Carter G. Woodson Regional Library located on the south side of Chicago. I am also a member of CPL's African American History Committee, and I'm excited about this year's programs in celebration of Black hair. As a former lock wearer, I loved adding ornamentation to my hair to express my personal style. I am pleased to join Amanda for today's Creating Your Own Loc Jewelry tutorial.
Hello Tamala, and thanks for having me here today. My name is Amanda Zagloba, and I run the Maker Labs Makers on 8 program at the Harold Washington Library. Today, we're going to be creating lock jewelry using a special jewelry making technique called wire wrapping. Wire wrapping is a great technique because you can make it as easy or as complicated as you want. Today we're going to be making it easy, and then a little later on I'll show you some options so that you can make your lock jewelry a little fancier. First we'll need our materials. Today we'll need wire, and we're going to be using an 18 gauge dead soft wire. You can use a 16 gauge if you have larger locks, but 18 is the minimum size you want to get. We also need both chain nose and round nose pliers, and wire cutters. We'll also need a dowel. If you have a wooden dowel, great. Otherwise, you can use some items from home, including a pencil, a pen, or markers. We'll also need files. If you have a metal file, great. Otherwise, you can use some basic drugstore nail files for this. We'll also need some eye protection. If you have glasses, great, you can just use those. Or if you don't have glasses, you'll need some kind of eye protection like goggles or a face shield. Optionally, you can have some dangles or charms to add to your lock jewelry at the end. Now we're ready to make our jewelry. You'll want to cut a piece of wire at least 12 inches long. You might want longer if you have wider dreads, or you want a longer piece of jewelry. You're going to use the file to file the burr at the end of the wire. You don't want this to get caught in your hair. Once we've filed, we're going to make the loop. So to make the loop, you'll need your round nose pliers. You're just going to grab the end. Now the wider your loop is, the wider you want your loop, the farther down the round nose pliers you're going to go. I just want a small loop, so I'm going to work from the top and just twist it around until your wire end meets up with the rest of your wire. Now you're going to use your chain nose pliers, that's the ones that have the flat nose, to grab your loop and then simply wrap it around. You can adjust your spiral as you go with the pliers, and then as soon as you've made your spiral the size that you want it, we're ready to start the main body of the jewelry. I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to use a pencil just to show you how it works with the pencil. We're going to hold our spiral to the pencil and then simply wrap the jewelry around. And you'll wrap until you've reached the rough length that you want your jewelry to be. As you're going, you can use the chain nose pliers to adjust the loops. So if you want them close together, you can push them close together. You can also slide them farther apart if you want more of a spiral look. I'm going to add a few more loops to my jewelry. And squish them together. You want to make sure when you're ready to end your jewelry that you end right at the approximate spot that your spiral is. Then you'll want to take and trim. If you have a lot of wire left, you want to trim it a little bit because you don't want a really long tail because we're just going to make another spiral. So I'm going to trim it a little, and don't forget to file. Now, this is the point where you can add some fancy things when you're working on this main body. So if you want, while you're working in the spiral, you can add some beads. Just add the beads for every time you make a round on the spiral. You can also, once you have a couple of loops, add some little twists and turns if you want to. And then you would just add a few more loops at the bottom. I'm just making the easy one today, so we're just going to end with a spiral. You can also just add a loop. And if that's the case, you would trim till you have about a ½ inch of wire, and then just make a loop like we did earlier. But for the spiral, I'm going to grab it again and twist until I have a little loop. And then take my chain nose pliers and twist around. And it will be a little bit more awkward this go around because you do have your pencil there, or your dowel. And you want to keep it there because we don't want to squash our jewelry. Okay. So I have my spiral, and I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. Okay, so there we go, all done. And now you have some very simple wire lock jewelry.
Thank you for learning and making with Makers on 8 in collaboration with the African American History Committee. Be sure to join us for more exciting hands-on programs and discussions this month in celebration of Black hair. Visit www.shypublive.org for program information and to register.